Hey everybody, Matthew here with MEB Pod, back with another episode. Probably another short one, but I know how these things go. It's a grind, and we'll kind of get more or less into that later on in the episode. I know I've mentioned it before, but I absolutely love doing these. Like I mentioned, it's like my journaling. It's my way to kind of let out what I want to say, and it's not like 9 times out of 10 I don't really say half the things I want to say because I forget. I don't really plan on what I'm going to be talking about more or less on these podcasts, but I enjoy it, so I'm going to continue doing it regardless of the viewership or the followers or the subscribers or the fan base or whatever that might be. I do enjoy doing it. I have really lacked on the editing part of this whole thing. I was really grinding away and teaching myself how to do it. I've kind of stopped, but I really need to hop back in on that. That is kind of the biggest, I think, reason for a lot of small content creators or content creators in general. I guess more or less small, just because they're the one kind of doing everything when it comes to recording, editing, posting, all that, keeping that all kind of organized. With that being said, this is episode 22, so I am kind of at least getting stuff out there, which is kind of most important part of creating content, and that's staying consistent. From what I hear, that's kind of the most important thing, because the quality of content will get better as the more you do it. I've seen some of the people that I follow that are big now. I've went back and looked at them in their beginnings, and it's just as not as high quality or great as mine is currently, and it kind of motivates me. It kind of reinforces the fact that it will get better. Things will always get better with the practice. So with that being said, we'll kind of hop right into it. It's going to be your general episode, no guest, whatever it might be. So with that being said, we'll hop into the episode, I guess. So it's podcast number 22. Of course, we'll start with the birdie and the double bogey, which I didn't plan, of course. So with that being said, double bogey, I guess. I really didn't have anything too much going on down here. I was able to get out once this past week to play a round of golf. I only played 9 holes. Due to the lack of rain, so that's kind of my biggest, thing living down here in Florida, South Florida, this time of year, with all the hurricanes and storms and this time of year you're going to get rain, so it's kind of tough to play. And this time of year, actually, prices are going up in golf, just because of the, I don't want to say it's cooling down, but it is starting to get a little cooler with all the rain. People want to get out there, so the prices on these golf courses are a little pricey. I think that's a big reason why I am seeing such an increase in the simulator indoor golf TrackMan. I just saw they're building a 5-iron golf down here in Coral Gables. I know they built a simulator TrackMan in, its place is called The Tips down there in Brickell. And then there's another place out here in Coral Gables called, I don't know, I forget what it's called, but I was able to go in there and get a tour from them, and that was really neat. It is very nice. Now, it's the same as going out and playing around a golf? Absolutely not. I don't think anything in the world beats that. I could sit there and play Augusta National on a TrackMan, and it will never compare to the local municipal course down here as if I'm outside. I just think getting outside and out in the fresh air and hitting some balls, whether it's you're hitting them well or not, nothing beats that. That sound of a pure iron shot is the best thing in the world. the sound of a nice long putt going into, or a nice long putt hitting making it into the cup is a good feeling. And of course, hitting a fairway in regulation is also, or a fairway or a green in regulation is one of the best, feelings. So it's kind of more or less just kind of my double bogey, I guess, is just not being able to get out there as much as I'd like. And that's why I wanted to play, and that's kind of where it brings me up to like why I'm doing this golf and trying to play around in all 50 states, because playing at local courses down here is great. You have to have a home. You have to have a course or an area, which I call Miami now as my home. You can't sit there and travel the world. I mean, you can, and that's kind of what my dream would be, is just to travel the world and play different golf courses every single day. But I would love to get out there on a more often than not. And they have a ton of courses down here. I just got to drive a little more. But with the weather, it's kind of tough to get out there. So I guess that's my double bogey, is just the weather. Really can't complain though, just because it is, Mother Nature can't control it. So I just got to know what I can and cannot control. With that being said, my birdie, I guess, would be just the way I was hitting them out there. That one little time I was out there, I hit them pretty well. Was striking a 3-wood pretty nicely, which was very pleased about. Driver, irons were a little off, and the putting was terrible. And I think that with the putter was rough, just because the greens were in some rough shape. It was a terrible. I mean, it's not the most well-kept course. Now I get on for free, so I can't complain too much. But it was a little tough to get the putts rolling like I wanted. They were very, very slow. I like a little faster green, so you can get you can always get a little more feel on it. But I mean, I was able to get out there, so I can count my blessings, and not every day is everyone capable of going out and doing something like that they love to do. So definitely grateful that I was able to get out there. So with that being said, we'll dive into a little MLB baseball. Some playoffs are obviously underway. Yankees are down 2-1 against the Blue Jays in their series. Their game, I think, just started. As much as I hate to say, I don't really care who wins the World Series. My World Series, if I had to pick this year with the playoffs that are the teams that are in it, I'd like to say Seattle versus the Milwaukee Brewers, even though the Brewers are in the division of my team, the Cardinals. I would think it'd be really neat to have those two teams in it, due to the fact that neither of them have ever won a World Series. I know the media probably wants the Dodgers versus the Yankees. It'll bring in some money for your networks and whatever, and all the fandom. There's so many fans out there of both of those teams. But with that being said, Yankees are down 2-1. I just have a hard time believing that the Blue Jays are going to take down the Yankees in the Bronx tonight. So I think the Yankees will end up winning tonight. Detroit just tied up the series against Seattle, so that's going back to Seattle for Game 5. That should be a really fun one to watch. The Cubbies are beating the Brewers currently right now, I believe, 4-2 in Wrigley. They have to win tonight to force a Game 4. And then the Dodgers and Phillies play tonight at about 9 o'clock Eastern. In Los Angeles, the Dodgers took the first 2 in Philadelphia. I don't see the Dodgers losing that series. The Dodgers are just too good. Phillies are incredible too, but Dodgers are just, they're the team to beat. So like I said, I kind of want to see a nice Brewers-Mariners World Series. With the way it's working out, I don't see that happening. I think whoever wins this Yankees, I can see the Mariners making it to the World Series if they can get through Detroit. I just can't see Detroit getting through Toronto or New York. That'll be tough for them, but it'll be tough for anyone to get there. It's one of the hardest feats to do, is get to the World Series and let alone win one. But I think my predictions are, I think Seattle's going to make it, and I think Seattle and Milwaukee's a pretty good. I think it's going to end up being Milwaukee and New York. I know New York's got to win tonight for that to happen. But that's my predictions, and I think New York's going to end up. No, I think Milwaukee will end up winning the World Series. I just think the way they've played all year round, I think they've got the talent, and we'll see though. And I hope to see whether win or lose. I hope it's a good World Series, a good playoffs, whatever. But anyways, we'll kind of move on to some college football. We've got some big ones this week. I know, obviously, as a Missouri fan, they've got Alabama this weekend in Columbia. I'm really, I want to say Alabama's favored by 3.5 on the road in Columbia. I think Missouri has had a tough time winning that big game. This will be the biggest game of the year, obviously, for them. If we can keep running the ball like we have been, and Bo Pribble just not turn the ball over, I think Missouri's got a pretty solid shot to beat the Crimson Tide. Obviously, it's a huge game for both teams. Alabama loses, they'll drop definitely in the SEC rankings, obviously the AP poll, all that kind of stuff. But if Missouri can somehow pull this off, they'll be a top 10 team, possibly top 5, depending on who all wins and loses. I just think it'd be a huge win to see them finally pull off that big win. Obviously, they haven't played too much of any competition. I mean, they beat Kansas to rivalry game. They beat them in a really, really close matchup, but Alabama just got done beating Vandy and Georgia. So coming off of 2 big wins for them. I want to say Oregon plays Illinois, maybe? Or Ohio State. Ohio State plays Illinois. That should be a pretty good game. Kind of rooting for the Fighting Illini. We've got a couple other, big games here in the up-and-coming weeks for college football. So college football is in the midst of their season. Really looking forward to that. We've got some NFL this week. Obviously, there was a bunch of upsets this week. Congrats to the Miami Dolphins. They were able to pop their champagne as being the only team to go undefeated in a season, with the loss of the Philadelphia Eagles and the Buffalo Bills on against the Patriots. So that was some pretty big upsets this week, which I'm really looking forward to just this weekend in football. Really don't have much else to say about the NFL or baseball. We do have the NHL has started, and the NBA is starting in about a week or so. And then, of course, we've got my birthday's coming up and Halloween coming up. So I just love the whole month of October. You've got all these sports kind of beginning and ending, and I'm looking forward to the month of October, the rest of what this month has got to offer, which kind of brings me into, obviously, I love the game of golf. Kind of really got me more or less into the social media realm of things. TGL is going to be starting up. The schedule just got released. We've got a bunch of new videos out from all the content creators that I follow. I know my boy Bobby at Bob Does Sports is out in Nevada right now doing their Halloween episode, where it looks like Bob's dressed as a clown, which kind of makes sense because he's kind of a clown himself. Fat Perez, I believe, is dressed up as the Joker. I think Cold Cuts is like a scarecrow, it looks like. I forgot what. Oh, and then I don't know if Ticket was dressed up as anything or the Jet, but I know it looks like I'm looking forward to their when they post that video. That should be entertaining. Barstool, I know Trent just did his Breaking 85. I watched that today, actually. Out there, he was up in the Poconos with Frankie. They looked like they had a good time out there. Beautiful course. I forget what it's called, Woodbridge something. I don't know. Anyways, it's up in the Poconos. Looked really nice. He wasn't able to make the feat yet, so if you haven't watched it, I apologize for the. I love when Frankie and Trent get together for those Breaking 85s. I think Frankie is just the perfect person to have around when you're trying to do something like that. He's always pretty motivating and having a good time, and he's obviously playing around with himself as well. They don't really put his shots on there too much just because it's not about him. It's about Trent trying to break 85, which is something I'd like to really kind of get involved in, something along the lines with breaking, a certain score, shooting low and doing that kind of stuff. I think that's really neat how they go about doing that. I think, it really gets the crowd or the fan involvement in it. I've really been involved since the beginning of Trent's golf journey, since he went down to, what was it, Atlanta or whatever, and got some lessons. That was really neat. That's kind of what I think I want to eventually do. I want to get like a professional lesson, start from the beginning and record up and see if I can kind of build not that I really need, I need lessons, that's for sure. That would help a ton. But I just think it's really neat how Barstool really kind of followed his journey of golf and how much he's progressed over the time. I think that's really neat. We've got, obviously, like I said, TGL coming out. And it's only about an hour and 45 minutes away from where I live, so I'd love to make a trip up there and see a match this year, whether it's the Bay Area versus Boston or whoever. I would prefer to see Jupiter versus Boston, just because you get a little Tiger and a little Rory. I think that'll be definitely, I don't care. Like I said, I'll see anyone. So anyone that knows the TGL people up there, hook me up. Let me get a tour of the facility. That would be really neat. I'd love to hit into that screen one or twice, a couple times, putt on that green. I think that would be really neat. So I know I don't have many, but if one of you subscribers or fans out there are listening and could hook a brother up, let me know. I know we just we just had this Creator Open that I've started recently following. They had it up here in Pompano Beach. They've gotten creators from all over the country. Had them fly down here and competing in a tournament that was, more or less just a fun, I think, exhibitional, like, have fun. They obviously win a trophy, and I'm sure some prizes were, included, but it's just it was a big networking event, more or less, which I wish I would have been a part of. These guys never reached back out to me, which I'm kind of a little annoyed about. But it looked like they had a good time, and I'm happy that they all enjoyed themselves. But more or less, hopefully I can be a part of it next time. I also am trying, again, any subscribers, followers, whatever you're out there, trying to get involved in the PGA show. Now, I don't have the X amount of subscribers that you need to be invited as a content creator or a media personnel, or I don't have a product that I'm going to be sharing with the golf community up there at the PGA show up there in Orlando. But I want to be involved. So if you guys can help me out, I've sent emails out to see if what do I need to do to get, an invite, because it is an invite only thing. So yeah, like I said, I'd like to be involved in that. And then there's another thing. Oh, I guess more or less that's kind of it on my golf takes. I'm really looking forward to the TGL and what the next golf season is going to bring. Once probably TGL starts, I'll try to make some, more or less predictions of next year's major winners and do all that kind of stuff. So I probably will get, more involved with the golf the more these YouTubers post videos out, and obviously I'll keep in touch with the TGL. And throw my thoughts on the TGL throughout the season. So with that being said, I just want to kind of get into what, again, I'm trying to do on here. I know you've heard I don't really have many subscribers. This thing, I knew this was going to be tough. And I keep saying, whatever the followers will come, I'm not really, I don't want to say I'm stressing about it, because I'm not, because, it's hard to, it's a grind is what I'm trying to get at. It is I know I want to give a shout out to all the creators out there that are even attempting to do what some of the best, the Barstool, the Bob Does Sports, all these golf content creators. I can speak for those guys. I can't really speak for those guys either, but in any field, people that do food reviews or, makeup, whatever your niche is, the people that go on here, the Mr. Beast of the world, that have continued to post consistently all day, every day, make this a career, I have to give them credit for sticking with it. This is one of the toughest, most obnoxious things I've ever had to do. All these just keep on posting, the little 20-second reels. It's like, trying to teach myself how to edit and do all this stuff. I mean, I got to give props to everyone out there that's even attempted to do it. And I know there's times when I wanted to, and I'm not even doing half the work. I'm just I'm not doing half of what these guys are doing. I know Jet or Ticket, one of those two, or even Jensen, one of them posted a video of or a picture of what their editing looked like for one of their 1 hour long videos or whatever. And it looked like the biggest headache. Now that I say it, I think it wasn't. I don't think it was any of those guys. It was Sky, Grant Horvat's cameraman guy. The amount of work that it looked like the biggest headache. And the fact that these guys are on the course filming, getting off the course, I'm sure they're getting a bite to eat or whatever, and then grinding away on that computer is one of the, it's incredible. I guess like I said, I know the people that aren't in the field of trying to make content or trying to do this don't really know the extent or the length that some of these people go to make the content that we all love. I'd love to be at the level of some of these guys, and I'm working that way, and I'm trying my best to not get burnt out or give up or try to down myself. I'm like, oh, why does Grant Horvat got X billion followers and I've got 4,000 or whatever it might be? But that's one thing. This is the and I see some people on here, and I catch myself like on social media grinding away each and every day on TikTok Live or Instagram Live or whatever it might be, trying to push to get followers, and and they're doing double of what I'm doing, more or less. And I kind of poke fun, and it's like, well, what are these guys doing? But then I'm not saying they're any. To me, it still, as a small content creator, it absolutely looks ridiculous. And I still kind of poke fun at them, but it shouldn't decrease the value of what am I trying to say? I guess it shouldn't be that way, I guess. What I'm trying to say is these people are doing, I have a job outside of whatever this content creating thing is. And I think everyone should have a job outside of content creating, unless they are one of the best of the best, the biggest of the biggest, the Bob Sports, the Grants, the goods. Like, these guys made a career out of it. And yes, I know that's kind of everyone's dream in this field. I know that would be what I'd want to do. That would be fantastic, to get out there on some of the greatest golf courses in the world and in the country or whatever it might be, and do this for a living, 100% of my life, where I just go out there and play golf and film but some of these guys, and that's where I think I have a hard time seeing these smaller content creators grind away and without jobs. That's the one thing that bothers me, I think, the most, is that they don't have jobs outside of what I'm doing essentially right now. You have to work, you have to earn money, you have to have a living, you have to, have a social life. Some of these people literally sit behind a computer or a cell phone or a camera or whatever it might be and make 30 cents a view or whatever. Or I'm making numbers up because I don't even know, because I'm not even being paid for this. This is all kind of more or less just me having fun with it. And I was able to qualify for the monetization program with YouTube, which was really neat. But I'm still not going to quit my day job over it. It's some of these times. That's the one thing I think that bothers me the most about some of these smaller creators, is that they literally claim that this is a full-time job for them, and they don't. But they're living, and they're living in homes. It's like, and like, I'm not going to be calling anyone out, but it's absolutely ridiculous. Some of these people that claim they're making enough money to live in these, living in a nice area, in a nice blah, 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 whatever, with these nice, beautiful golf clubs, and play these nice courses, and not make a dime off of what their actual career might be. They can't be making that much money for the same amount of people. And more power to them if they can do it. That's where I'm trying to, not get frustrated with it, because I am having a side job, and I guess I'm not trying to sound jealous or envious or whatever it is, but I guess more power to them. And like I said, that's kind of why I'm talking about it. So yeah, like I said, more or less moral of the story is This is not easy. This, you know, I am getting more comfortable in front of the camera. That was a grind in itself to try to get in front of the camera and talk to it for 30 minutes or whatever it was. But to let alone to go in there and just the editing part is the grind of the whole thing, you know, making everything, the production side of it. I was able to go out there and get these kind of neat little tools. I'm still using my cell phone to video. I've got, you know, I went out and got a MacBook to do editing. I've got Rode wireless microphones. I've got pod mics. I've got earpieces. I've got the lavalier mic. I've got all this stuff, good fun tools for it. And that's what I mean. It kind of motivates me to keep doing this and getting better. So like I said, more power to you. I want all the small content creators that do follow me for whatever, you know, that to just keep grinding. Like myself, I'm going to keep pushing. You know, I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm getting better at it each and every day. So I am going to get into, of course, the final portion of the podcast, and that is the parlay of the week. Again, no one really sends me anything. I don't think I really have too many people watching these long form videos, which is fine, but I'm going to do my little parlay of the week, of course. And, of course, like I said, as a Missouri fan, I kind of want to bet the plus 3.5 for Missouri against Alabama. I think they cover that. I think they could pull off a win. So I'm going to take plus 3.5 for Missouri against Alabama. I think after a tough loss against the Patriots, I think Josh Allen's going to be passing over 229.5 passing yards against the Falcons this week. And then I think Jake Ferguson's going to score a touchdown anytime against the Panthers. I think the Cowboys are much better than what their record might say. I'm not a Cowboys fan. I'm actually rocking an Eagles sweatshirt today, so not that I'm an Eagles fan, but I just like the sweatshirt. So again, 3.5 plus 3.5 for the Missouri Tigers against the Alabama Crimson Tide. Josh Allen's going to be throwing over 229.5 passing yards this week against the Falcons, and an anytime touchdown against Jake Ferguson, or anytime touchdown for Jake Ferguson against the Carolina Panthers this week. So with that being said, MEB Golf is going to be signing out. Thank you very much for listening. Have a great rest of your week.